to Artist in Recovery / General P. Morning, dude, from California. 6:05 in the morning, West Coast time. It's the 2nd of February, 2025. Recovery is possible, but only if you want it. And if you're willing to do the steps. You talked about the steps in your last videos, but you didn't say the mechanism. Online, anybody can research the mechanism of it. But they have to hit bottom first, dude. Recovery is possible, but there are major steps that they have to do. They have to accept responsibility, transparency, and accountability, which means you got to get honest and willing enough to do the recovery. See, 1 second. Mornings are getting harder and harder sometimes. It was hard to hit bottom. It was hard to see yourself in a complete mess and thinking there's no damn hope. But yeah, recovery is possible. You just can't say it. You have to go through it. And other people would go through detox. Other people would just have to white knuckle it. But the hardest thing is not just the physical, it's the mental and spiritual. That's just as tough to get through it. The body will be screaming for it. And trust me, the chemical reactions are just as deadly. But there has to be a willing resolve. And it's not easy doing things alone. You need to get a group. You need to have community around you to help you out through this thing. Even if you have to go to recovery halls, there's your community right there. There's your higher power in a sense. And yeah, they do have reading material for you to read and understand that this damn disease affects everybody one way or another. Not only does it affect the person going through the addiction, it's also the people surrounding him that also is affected by it. Maybe at one point in my life I could have qualified for Al-Anon. Sure as hell wasn't Al-Anon, but I could have. If only that was going to be helping out or getting into it, but Al-Anon would have been it. How to deal with an addict living in my house all that time was my brother. Ma was going through her own issues and had to go to a different 12-step meeting. And she met a number of people over there. She had to confide in somebody she could trust originally to walk her through that door. And that's where she found a plethora of people to help her out. Sometimes it doesn't seem like that when you're going through your first meeting and you think nobody gives a shit. Trust me, there have been a lot of people I've seen like that going in and out of meeting halls. I was fortunate enough that I had walked through my brother's meetings so many damn times. They knew I was in trouble. Excuse me. They even tried to approach me. And I rebuked them. I just said, I'm fine. Leave me the fuck alone. At one time, a meeting was getting so heavy in there that I'd walked out. There was a karaoke. I think it was also a karaoke at the same time. They had a meeting before the karaoke. So they had to have time to set things up. But I just didn't want to deal with them. I'd got to so many meetings with my brother when he was going through his 12 steps, and he was serious about recovery. I'd seen him as a mess. I never recognized myself as a mess, but I was. We all were. We were also emotionally grieving because we had lost Grandma. My mother had lost her mother. We didn't know how to grieve. We didn't know how to process the pain, but my brother was hiding from me a lot more. A lot more. And it was hard to have a family discussion about the damn shit, except I got to a point of tossing my brother outside, and then a few months later he comes back in as a skeleton, almost literally. It had taken him months to get his facial recognition going. But during that time, he played around with the program for about a month and got back into it when he was really serious about it. And I had to stay with him. I don't remember how long. Every time he kept going to a meeting, I had to go along with him. So I had seen him take cake after cake. And he was really serious about it. He was really serious about it. He made a promise to Ma and me. He was going to get through this thing. I still wasn't quite sure how to deal with all these new people in there. I wasn't feeling very chummy. I wish I was part of something like that, I kept telling myself. But how do I relate to these damn people? Who the hell are they? I always felt defensive. I always felt like I was standoffish. I heard about the program, looked at the book, and I'm like, I'm going to read another damn Bible. Since God was working with me at this point. And the thing of it is, God works in mysterious ways. That's what we keep telling ourselves. And sometimes it's more blatant than we realize. How'd I know that he was still trying to work on me as well? I mean, I had my... If I was going to use tricky terminology, I had my shields and phasers ready to go. Come on, let's go to war. Leave me a fuck alone. You want to argue? You want to fight with me? Let's go. I was already angry. I didn't realize I was really angry at myself and angry at God and angry at everything else. I already had the damn disease being cemented in and fortifying itself. Doesn't matter what kind of mutation it would take. Either it'd be drug addiction, or it'd be alcohol, it'd be something else, food addiction, or maybe something worse. Doesn't matter. I was isolating. The major thing about the disease, it isolates. It forces a person to be an island nation of itself among people. It doesn't want you to be part of the solution to get rid of that damn thing. Or a daily reprieve is all the thing we work on. I mean, we don't worry about tomorrow as much as we worry about today's sobriety in any form it takes. We don't care about it. We're handed a set of instructions that's been handed down for decades. So for some of us, we look at it as ancient language. Despite the fact it's talking to us in a format we could try understanding. The first story in the book, Alcoholics Anonymous, is Bill's story. The basis, the starting point for the adventure. And it tells how he got through it. But the thing of it, what Bill hadn't said, is we have to keep reading indirectly. How he got there and what his mind was working as. Keep in mind that when Bill got in there, he wasn't exactly telling much about his family history. He was just only telling about from World War I onwards and what he was going through. I didn't catch, and I still have to reread the story all over again to see whether or not if he actually had a calamity or things happening in his lifetime that put him onto this situation here. Was there any kind of behaviors that he exhibited? Maybe innocuous, but kind of led him over to there. You don't get a taste of alcohol without getting a taste of alcohol. And either you like it or you don't. And if you do like the buzz, and me at first I couldn't stand the taste. I couldn't stand people being drunk all the damn time. I couldn't stand seeing my own family, certain portions of lineage going through this and being enabled. I didn't realize how widespread this damn thing was. Well, once I was reading a book and seeing how it was, I was already overmatched and screwed anyway. But I had to read the book when I admitted to myself that I actually had the problem. It was just waiting for something else to erupt into. It's one thing for me isolating emotionally, spiritually, physically. I've been doing that all my life. It became second nature to me. But I was ready to do anything for that kind of addiction. I could overeat if I wanted to. I could drink, and I had access to it. And what was worse, David could have given me a hit, and I could have taken it. I thought I had the stronger will. I was going to outlast anybody else. You want to bet? I didn't. I didn't. I thought by isolating myself from everybody else, I'd be fine. I'd be the normie. I would be the normal one. Truth be told, I was already screwed up before and didn't even realize it. Some people would use alcohol, be alcoholic like-minded, and not even admit it. And other people would just be outright alcoholics by drinking and going through the motions that way. It scared the hell out of me seeing people like that, including my own family members. And I couldn't deal with it. I could not deal with it. Embarrassed the crap out of me. As much as I thought I loved him, I was also afraid. I've seen manipulations enabling. A person would get sober, they get back into their track again because the enabler wants to see that all the time. And I'd seen the after effects after that on the siblings. I heard about things like that. I ignored them. When I kept going to meeting halls with my brother, I'd hear the story from other people. So one of my brain was making more and more connections. I was seeing more and more connections of my past, presenting itself worse and worse. I'd lost some of those people I cared about. Damn disease takes forms that steals life. It steals life and hope. Almost saw it take my brother. He came back home and wanted help when he was first going through the program. He didn't want to leave home. He already seen what it was all about. It more soft. It was going to be that way. I didn't give a shit. I really didn't give a shit about my brother during that time. I didn't care about him. I didn't love him as much. Maybe I did, but I didn't admit it to myself. It's bad enough I had to deal with Ma. Bad enough I had to deal with some of the shit that she had to put me through. And I was angry at her. I was angry at life. I was angry at everything. But you know, that didn't pop up like overtly. It was stewing inside for many years. Not until I started going into programs and I'm starting to hear what people were talking about, and it still pissed me off because if I was being pissed off more and more, I was identifying more and more about myself. I didn't want to think about the damn shit. Who the fuck were these people? They didn't know me. Go screw them. Fuck them. I don't give a shit about you. I got enough issues right now as it is. I'm hearing you blathering yourself in a meeting hall and think you got this thing down and you're doing this and you're doing that and blah 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 blah. And they see me, oh, I can help you out. The only thing I want to do is punch your face in. That's how I was thinking and thinking during those days. I mean, I got tried almost kicking and screaming on some meetings. I didn't want to go there. I wanted to hide. I wanted to be away from all this shit. I didn't want to deal with all this damn recovery. I didn't want to deal with monitor shit. Leave me the fuck alone. I'm grateful I had a roof over the head. I'm paying for rent. Leave me the fuck alone. I'm paying money. I'm getting jobs. I'm trying to bust my ass for the jobs. Trying to get the jobs. Trying to hold on to the fucking jobs and try to please people left and right. What about me? What about me? What's in it for me? What's in it for me? Not for you. Fuck you. I'm doing it for me because I'm stuck here. I got a roof over the head. I got clothes. I can wash my clean clothes when I need to. I can take a shower. I'm fine under a roof. Leave me the fuck alone. Yeah, Ma, I'll deal with it. I'll deal with it. I'll deal with it. Shit. I'll clean this up. I'll clean that up. I'll do some chores around the house. Fuck. You know I'm busting my ass at these jam jobs over here. Do you think I can get any fucking respect out of this damn thing? God. I was a rage monster. Didn't even realize I was going to be a rage monster. And even a rage monster is an addiction in itself. The shirt I'm wearing on. Well, clean shirt a long, long time ago. My brother used to wear in the meeting halls. Especially where he went to. Nest. This was hardcore. A long time ago, back in the 80s and 90s. Before he moved out here, Antelope Valley, he was going over there all the time. It was his home group. He was at home with it. My brother was a recovering alcoholic addict. He did marijuana. He did alcohol. But he translated both of them into alcohol when he went into AA meetings because it's still the same damn shit. But I wasn't ready for any of it. I mean, I wish I was part of it so I could understand it and feel it. But the problem is, I wasn't belonging to him because I didn't get it. I didn't want to get it. Leave me the fuck alone. I'm sitting in a meeting hall over here, dragged with my brother. Okay, fine, let me just read my book. Yeah, read my book, rereading. I'm listening to people. Yeah. I'm listening to shit. And some of the hardcore people in that meeting hall, one of the hardest who'd been through it, who had counseled people through it because he's gone through the elements. Hardcore alcoholic addict, and this guy was helping people in the system, in the prison system, a great deal. Trying to catch those people who are, who can admit to themselves that they do have an issue, that they do want help. And he was sponsoring a lot of people. This guy was a dynamo. Joe Gomez, God rest his soul, God bless his soul. If he's still around, I hope so. This guy helped save my brother's life and maybe indirectly save my ass. But he even tried to talk to me about shit like that. I'm just looking, I'm like, what the fuck you want? Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, there's a God out there. Okay, fine. What the hell he wants me from? What do you want from me? Leave me the fuck alone. I hear that shit. Okay, so we got to go in a meeting and we got to do the serenity prayer. Oh, God. What am I doing this for? God, grant me serenity to accept the things you cannot change, courage to change things you can't, wisdom not different. Yada, 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 yada. Keep coming back. It works. Can we get the fuck out of here? The attitude and the thoughts were emanating. I was just as screwed up and fucked up as every alcoholic and addict out there. The only thing that held me back was just isolating from everything, but not from the pure elements that made my brother and me and everybody else that we knew of around us, family, friends, strangers, who's affected by this damn disease. They all had to hit bottom. They all had to admit that they got their problem. They all have to admit it to themselves that they are powerless over this damn shit. That their life is completely fucked up. In Alcoholics Anonymous, we have to follow these steps and traditions. The traditions are for the meetings and the organizations, but the steps is our way of recovery. We use the book that we call the Big Book. It's a thick book. And it's got stories. Well, they update the stories every once in a while. But it's got material in there to help us understand more about this damn disease in whatever format. But they're the building blocks that we still have to keep going over and over and over again to understand this thing. And the first thing of it is we have to say this out loud and to ourselves and understand this is a beginning step. Step one in this thing is we admit it, we are powerless over alcohol, that our lives have become unmanageable. In the 12-step programs, they can substitute the word alcohol for anything else. But the gist of it is we admit it, we're powerless over it. That our lives become unmanageable. Basically fucked up. Second one gets harder. Came to believe that a power greater than ourselves can restore us to sanity. This is one of the hardest damn steps for people to try to get through. Everything else, well, believe. Who's going to believe that there's something out there beyond us? We're egomaniacs. You kidding me? We're rage monsters. We're alcoholics and addicts. We don't have anything beyond us. Fuck that shit. Give me the fucking thing. What? Give it to me now. Otherwise, I become a rage monster. A spoiled brat. Ah! You will give it to me now. Okay, that's it. I'm going to threaten you. Because I want to know. Don't you understand how screwed up I am? And I know that crazy screens in my head. It's like watching the movie of, if I can put this into a weird ass connection here, Ghost Rider 2. Nicolas Cage played this one. There were certain elements in that film. There were certain scenes in there that he's talking about something inside of him scraping inside his skull. Welcome to our addiction. Welcome to our insanity, guys. That this damn thing is greater than what kind of a convoluted illusion this is for power. This is the power going on inside of our body. The biological chemical, the certain portions in our brain, the pleasure centers, are going on a constant generation of chemicals flooding our body. And when we don't get our pleasure, the withdrawal of that chemical is maddening. And we want. You want to talk about a food addiction at this point. Let's say Doritos came out, or Cheetos came out with a new flavor. And it's so addicting that the brain is going, wow, I must have more of that. Don't you understand? Only a small sampling? No. We're going to get more. We're going to get more. I must have more. Give it to me now. The scary damn thing is when that happens to motivate everything we do to get that fix and constantly do that damn fix. Because we absolutely have no control. We want it now. It's an impulse. It's the greatest impulse that's pushing us left and right. You want to talk about artistic cartoons? Lord of the Rings, actually the Return of the Rings cartoon. And you would hear, at least in my head, goblins doing this song saying, if there's a whip, there's a way. YouTube this, guys. This was in my head. This was the addiction singing it to me. Because I felt like I was getting whipped and lashed by this damn thing. And in order to get to step number one, we have to admit it that we are beaten by the son of a bitch. And then slowly realize that maybe there is some kind of cosmic balance, that there is a power greater than our understanding, comprehension, feelings, anything else beyond that, that actually has a genuine interest in our own being, our soul, our mind, lastly, our body. Hardest thing to come across that power. Unless you're at the point where you're just about done. They say talking about hitting bottom is sometimes people dig a hole to make a worse bottom. But if you've already been battered and beaten and bloodied on the ground at this point over here, metaphorically speaking, then the journey begins. Part 1.